teach. What I teach over the course of both the work at Vanderbilt and associated with Arizona State Law School in Phoenix is a series of experiential courses. They're not doctrinal. The courses that I teach are negotiation, mediation, and legal project management. And those being experiential, I probably don't have the same concerns about students using generative AI that those of you who teach doctrinal courses would legitimately have, because these are practice areas that, in my view, we don't provide enough of to help lawyers as they move into the practice of law following law school begin to exercise with greater facility and quality. So as a result, in all of my courses, I expect students to use ChatGPT, and I tell them, but you're going to learn how to use it well. And as a result, we together are learning how ChatGPT and other large language models can be of benefit as well as a risk, so that they can parse the difference between the two. And the work that I'm presently engaged in as a practitioner, if you will, is the work at the Guardrail Foundation. And it is a nonprofit that has been created by those who have generated another technology company called Guardrail Technologies. And both of us are focused on responsible AI. Go ahead and change the slide if you would, because we've all heard the story. I mean, first of all, ChatGPT broke into the world's awareness last year, but only this year have we understood the perils of ChatGPT and other large language models if we use them blindly without knowledge of their strengths and their weaknesses. And it was just this week that a court heard testimony from two lawyers who obviously either clearly did not understand or worse in their use of generated case cites and even opinions that were all created, according to them, solely by ChatGPT. Their problem was, of course, they didn't check those. So we now all are awakened to the perils of AI. Next, please. Next slide. Thank you. So we are in a revolution of pretty significant proportions, frankly, not unlike those revolutions that preceded us, called the Industrial Revolution, beginning with the steam engine. Electricity was next. Computing, particularly in and around 2006, became the third. And now we're in the fourth, where artificial intelligence is taking on a disproportionate role at this moment in terms of how we can best use it. And in each of these industrial revolutions, there were some similar kinds of impacts. There were job losses. There were retraining and upskilling required. But each of these pivot points in the human progress was instrumental for even greater achievement once we addressed the perils and highlighted the benefits. Next slide, please. And these are many of those artificial intelligence tools. There are reportedly 90 different artificial intelligence applications. Some of them work in conjunction with others, but all of them were created, engineered for a specific problem to be solved. Next, please. But this is where we have come, and artificial intelligence as a large body of technology has also many related but confined developments that are a part of artificial intelligence, such as machine learning. And it led to deep learning or neural networks of learning. And generative AI falls within all of those categories, and yet at the same time is built upon a basic set of principles that we have associated with our artificial intelligence, And that is they're looking for comparative models or patterns, whether that's in imagery or narrative. And what they're looking for is a pattern that they can then apply their algorithms to predict what's next. So generative AI is looking at this large body of data, larger than the internet, because there is a deep dive also that generative AI accesses. But what it's doing is looking for those comparisons that enable a prediction of what the right answer would be. In addition, I would encourage you to pay very close attention to an AI application which is just now breaking into our awareness. And as educators or practitioners in law, we need to also be aware of causal AI. Causal AI is going to change everything because it's a different kind of artificial intelligence. It is not comparator based. It actually does a root cause analysis of what good looks like. So imagine in law, if you have done any number of procedures or matters or cases, or you're teaching in how to do those better. The capacity of causal AI is to do a root cause analysis of what those practices, those matters, those exercises of our legal skill and judgment look like. And now with that, the business of taking AI to the benefit of a practitioner or an educator becomes founded in the characteristics of good outcomes. So be aware and please take note of causal AI. I think I heard reference to it in some of the time that I was here, but if that was an hallucination on my part, I apologize. Nonetheless, pay close attention to causal AI. Next, please. So we're on this transformative journey, and it's like access to all the information in the world, but we're not there yet. We still have a ways to go. Next, please. We all know about this startling statement, ironically composed and endorsed by the billionaires who have generated their wealth by creating AI applications. And they're warning us that this is on par with a pandemic or a nuclear war. And if we're not careful, we will lose all of humanity. It's fascinating to me that these CEOs and engineers aren't dismantling the AI that made them billionaires. They're just warning us of what they apparently have failed to take account of. There's a great article yesterday's New York Times that I encourage you to take a look at, because it simply provides quotes about one or the other, AI technology or nuclear technology, and they're all pretty dire quotes about the dangers of these two new technologies. And our duty is to identify which of these technologies these quotes attribute to. The author of the quote and the quote itself may or may not give us insight. Is it about AI or is it about nuclear technology? I can confess I got about 50% right. The point is that the same thing could be said of AI that has been said about nuclear technology. Next, please. Thank you. So last month, a group of lawyers, technologists, engineers at MIT, under the leadership of Shauna, who is my colleague in Guardrail, Shauna Hoffman, formerly with IBM Watson in its legal applications. And frankly, we met there in London about 15 years ago at a webinar, as a conference actually, presented by the British Legal Technology Forum. The output of that work over more than a month of like 13 or 15 different experts in the area of law, policy, and technology came up with these 7 principles. 1, confidentiality. 2, fiduciary responsibility. The need for notice and consent on the part of clients. The duty of competence. The duty of fiduciary loyalty. The duty of compliance with laws and regulations, both soft law and hard law, and the accountability and supervision duty to ensure that AI does not operate to harm people. Those responsible principles are what we seek to advance and help build upon at Guardrail. And the application of those principles are in evidence in these various functionalities on the right-hand side of that slide that can help create an industry standard for responsible AI. That's our goal, because all of these legitimate efforts on the part of nationalities and jurisdictions to come up with regulations and law, very logical, very responsible, very needed, sometimes they can be poorly informed or take a very, very long time to do. If these 7 principles could be generated by a multidisciplinary group of experts in a month, well, why can't we create standards that can serve as industry standards so that when regulatory action is taken, it's better informed? And it's no presumption that these are the only principles. So I invite all of you in your areas of expertise as educators, practitioners, or potentially even engineers to join us as we seek to create a global dialogue about what responsible AI should consist of. That's the work to come. Would you change the slide, please? So if you want to reach out, you can reach me at larry@guardrail.tech. If you want to see the website that addresses the work to be done, you can go to guardrailfoundation.org. And again, this is a nonprofit endeavor. This isn't intended to do anything other than bring good thinkers together to help us envision the world living with and benefited by responsible AI. I was at a TED Talk conference a number of years ago, and it was hosted by Microsoft. And the chief artificial intelligence engineer, Roger Boguski, spoke at the conclusion, and what he said I have come to believe is true. The only kinds of artificial intelligence that will enjoy economic sustainability are those that are responsible and that benefit humankind. There will be those who will want to and succeed at a perverse application of these technologies in a predatory or exploitative way. But if we can create an industry standard for what responsible AI looks like and acts like, we can minimize the degree to which exploitation takes place through those who would use their malicious or pernicious motives to exploit others. So my appeal is join us and let us know how we can work together to do that. Thank you for this opportunity, and